Every morning, a tough-looking Hell's Angel biker noticed the same strange thing happening, a tiny little girl trailing behind him, keeping her distance but never letting him out of her sight. At first, he brushed it off as coincidence, but as the days passed, her silent footsteps became impossible to ignore. Why would a child follow someone like him? What was she afraid of or running toward? Welcome back to Swift Tale, and if you're visiting for the very first time, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Are you ready for a story that will change the way you see people forever? Today, we uncover the emotional tale of a hardened biker who discovers the heartbreaking reason a little girl kept following him, a truth so powerful it brings him to tears. This story matters because it reminds us that sometimes the people we fear most are the ones capable of the greatest compassion, and that even the strongest of us can be carrying pain or hope we never see at first glance. The biker's routine was simple: ride out early, grab coffee from the same corner shop, check in with his crew, and hit the road. But now, every time he glanced over his shoulder, there she was, small, quiet, and always a few steps behind. At first he tried ignoring her, assuming she'd eventually get bored and stop, but she didn't. Even when he took different routes or sped up his pace, the little girl somehow found him again, her tiny shoes tapping fast against the sidewalk just to keep up. Shop owners began whispering, wondering why a child would follow a Hell's Angel of all people. Some assumed she was lost, others thought she was confused, but the biker sensed something deeper. She wasn't wandering, she was watching. She wasn't curious, she was hopping. And with each passing day, his annoyance slowly shifted into a nagging concern he couldn't shake. After nearly a week of being shadowed, the biker finally reached his limit. As he stepped out of the shop one morning, he spotted her again, standing by the curb, clutching something in her hands, eyes fixed on him with a mixture of fear and determination. He took a deep breath, walked straight toward her, and stopped just inches away. "All right, kid," he growled, though his voice cracked with something softer beneath the surface. "Why are you following me?" Instead of answering, the girl's lower lip trembled, and her small fingers tightened around the object she held. Her eyes darted around as if searching for danger only she could see. The biker's tough facade faltered. He crouched down to her level, trying again, slower, gentler this time. "You gotta talk to me, what's going on?" But she didn't speak. She only stepped closer, tugged lightly on his jacket, and looked up at him with a silent plea that twisted something deep in his chest. And though he didn't yet know why, he sensed this wasn't just a nervous child. This was a cry for help she couldn't put into words. Later that day, when the biker tried once again to ask why she kept following him, the little girl finally found the courage to whisper the truth. Her voice was shaky, barely audible, as she admitted someone had been watching her, someone she was terrified of. Every time she walked to school or stepped outside her home, she felt the presence of a man lurking behind her, hiding in alleys, showing up near her street, sometimes even calling her name. No one believed her, not her neighbors, not the adults around her, so she turned to the only person she had ever seen stand up to danger without flinching: him. She told him she had seen him once protect a stranger during an argument outside the very same shop, and in her young mind, that courage made him the only person strong enough to fight the fear that followed her. The biker felt his heart clench as he listened, realizing the depth of the trust this tiny, trembling child had placed in him. In that moment, he understood that she hadn't been following him out of curiosity. She had been following him because she believed he was her last chance at safety. Shaken by what the little girl revealed, the biker knew this wasn't something he could handle alone. That evening, he brought her to the Hells Angels clubhouse, a place that usually thundered with music, engines, and loud voices, but fell strangely silent the moment he walked in carrying her story on his face. The other bikers looked up, expecting trouble, but none of them expected to see fear in the eyes of a child clinging to one of their own. As he explained what she had told him, the room shifted from confusion to outrage to fierce determination. These men, tough, battle-scarred, and often misunderstood, didn't hesitate. They formed a protective circle around her, asking gentle questions, offering food, promising she was safe with them. And for the first time in days, the little girl relaxed. The Hells Angels weren't just interested, they were invested. Together, they decided to dig into who had been stalking her and why, vowing that no one would ever come near her again without going through all of them first. The deeper the Hells Angels dug, the darker the truth became. After speaking with neighbors, checking the path she walked to school, and quietly watching her home from a distance, they discovered that the girl wasn't just imagining someone following her. she was in real danger. A shadowy figure had been seen lingering near her building late at night, sometimes packing the sidewalk, sometimes staring up at her window. Worse, inside her home things were far from safe. Her mother, overwhelmed and battling serious health issues, couldn't protect her the way she wanted to. A man connected to her mother's past, someone violent, unstable, and recently released, had reappeared, circling around the girl like a predator waiting for an opportunity. When the biker learned this, something inside him hardened. This wasn't just a child's fear. This was a threat that demanded action. The club gathered more information, piecing together a picture of a life filled with silent suffering. And the more they uncovered, the more fiercely they vowed to shield her, realizing she had been carrying a burden far heavier than any child ever should. The danger finally reached its breaking point one cold evening when the biker was escorting the little girl home. They had just turned onto her street when he felt it, a presence, familiar and threatening, lurking just out of sight. Before he could react, the man stepped out from between two parked cars, his eyes locked onto the girl with a sickening intensity. She froze, gripping the biker's hand as her breath hitched in terror. In that instant, the biker didn't hesitate. He stepped in front of her, shoulders squared, voice low and deadly. Within seconds, the roar of engines filled the street as the Hells Angels appeared from every direction, having followed at a distance for her protection. The man tried to flee, but a wall of leather and steel closed in around him. What followed wasn't chaos, it was precision. The bikers cornered him, restrained him, and held him until authorities arrived. The girl cried into the biker's jacket, overwhelmed by fear and relief, while he held her tightly, promising she would never be alone again. It was the moment her nightmare finally shattered, and the moment the biker realized just how much she needed him. When the danger had finally passed, and the man was taken away, the little girl refused to let go of the biker's hand. Her small fingers trembled, her eyes still wide with leftover fear. He knelt down beside her, brushing a tear from her cheek, and gently asked the question he had been holding inside for days. "Why me? Why did you keep following me?" For a moment she hesitated, then she reached into her tiny backpack and pulled out a worn photograph. It showed her father standing proudly beside a group of bikers, his arm around one man who looked unmistakably like the biker kneeling in front of her now. Her voice cracked as she explained that her father had always told her, "If you're ever scared, find a biker. They protect their own." After her father passed away, she believed those words with all her heart, and when she saw the biker, strong, fearless, and alone, she recognized the same symbol on his jacket that was in her father's picture. That was why she followed him. That was why she trusted him. Hearing this, the biker's tough exterior collapsed. Tears slid down his face as he realized he wasn't just protecting a frightened child. He was honoring a promise made long before he ever knew she existed. After the danger passed and the police took the man away, the biker walked the little girl to a quiet bench near her building. The street was calm now, but she still shook with silent sobs, clinging to his vest like it was the only safe place left in the world. He sat beside her, his rough hands gentle as he tried to comfort her, and finally asked the question he'd carried for days. "Kid, why me? Why'd you keep following a guy like me?" The girl lifted her head slowly, wiping her eyes before pulling something from the front pocket of her jacket, a small, creased wristband with the Hells Angels emblem on it. She whispered that it had belonged to her father, who died when she was very young. He had always told her that bikers, real bikers, never turn their backs on someone in need. When she saw the biker wearing the same emblem, she believed it was a sign that her father had led her to the one person strong enough to protect her. As those words left her lips, the biker felt his chest tighten. Tears he hadn't shed in years filled his eyes. In that moment, he understood that he wasn't just helping a frightened child. He was carrying the last hope of a little girl who had already lost too much. In the days that followed, everything changed for the little girl, and for the biker who had stepped into her life at just the right moment. With the stalker arrested, and the authorities now aware of the danger she'd been living in, the Hells Angels worked closely with social workers and her mother to create a safer, more stable environment for her. The biker who once rode alone now found himself showing up with groceries, fixing things around her apartment, and even helping her mother navigate the support she needed. The rest of the club rallied too, taking turns walking her to school, standing watch near her building, and making sure she never felt unsafe again. Slowly, the fear in her eyes faded, replaced by trust, real, deep trust. And in return, the hardened biker began to soften, discovering a sense of purpose he didn't realize he'd been missing. The club's reputation in the neighborhood shifted as well. People who once crossed the street to avoid them now nodded in gratitude. What started as a frightened girl following a stranger had become a bond that reshaped an entire community. In the end, what began as a mysterious and heartbreaking pattern, a little girl quietly trailing a Hell's Angel every single day, unfolded into a powerful reminder that compassion can come from the people we least expect. A hardened biker, known for his rough edges and fearless presence, became the protector a vulnerable child had desperately hoped for. And as he learned the truth, that she followed him because she believed he was the only person strong enough to save her, his entire world shifted. Her trust healed wounds he never admitted he carried, and his strength gave her a safety she had never known. Their unlikely bond didn't just rescue her from danger, it created a new beginning for both of them. Thank you for watching this emotional journey here on Swift Tale. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or gave you a new perspective, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay safe, stay kind, and keep watching Swift Tale for more unforgettable stories.